All right, and welcome to Marketing Ping Pong. I am Ali,
And my name is Duncan.
and we are here to create marketing campaigns for semi-fictional businesses. Why? Because it's fun. It is fun to look at ideas and marketing strategies and all of these fun things we could do in a business without actually having to start the business ourselves. Duncan and I are very similar in that we always want to start a new business and always have great ideas for other people's businesses. And I don't know about you, Duncan, but I do like world building in my head. Like I have the full business planned out with employees and marketing, I'm writing the ads. I know exactly what the layout's going to be. So I'm just building this entire business in my head. And this is our outlet to be able to talk about these ideas that we have for both fun and not so fun businesses and what we would do if we owned that business. Are you ready?
I am ready. And like that world building thing is so real. Like I'll run into the issue of I'll be working on something for my own business and I'll go, oh man, this would be great for XYZ who's a friend who has this business. And I'll just sit there and zone out, like holding a pen or like ready to type something, thinking for 5 minutes about, man, this would be so great if we did it in this way for that business. So yeah.
And putting all the pieces together and exactly how can you leverage this piece to actually work here and here.
Yeah, and I snap back in.
Go back over here to the social media, and then that was the website, and you just build like this whole web of interconnectivity between all of these different strategies.
Yes.
Love it.
And I'll pop back in like, wait a minute, what was I doing? Where am I? Who am I? So I'm glad that we have this outlet now. I'm hoping that kind of like slows that part of my brain down for the rest of the day.
I have a feeling it might actually trigger us into doing this more.
Yeah, which means buying a yogurt shop or something.
Yes, yeah. So now I'm all in. Like I've got my marketing plan.
Yeah.
So today, our very first episode, we did talk about a very fun business, which would be a frozen yogurt shop. Very interactive, very fun, very visual. Everybody loves frozen yogurt. Everybody loves all the fun little toppings. Fantastic business. So today we're going to do a 180, right? You have brought a business, you've brought your business idea, and it is not nearly as fun and interactive as frozen yogurt. And I think it
nice
to the challenge.
It could be fun. It could be fun.
Well, we're going to make it fun. That's the whole point of what we're doing here. We're going to take what a lot of people would consider a very stodgy, non-fun, very serious business and find a way to make it fun. So what do you have for us?
Today, we're going to talk about life insurance and financial planning. So this is a business that provides both of those things. And they kind of like mix and mingle, and they kind of feed into each other. There's a lot of neat things with the product that you can do like a life insurance plan that you can borrow against for like good interest rates. And they have lots of products where they combine those things, and we can talk about all that. Specifically, this business and this person that I'm kind of basing this marketing plan off of is interesting to me. One, because he's my friend, and two, because he himself is very interesting. He has a lot of unique things about his personality, and he's had an interesting journey from like where he was even just a year ago to coming into this life insurance financial industry. Is a very it's a not coming of age, but it's like a very drastic difference from where he was a year ago. He long hair, guitar player in a bluegrass band, and he played in our band as well. I was in a band with him. From that all the way now to working at a life insurance agency. It's just a very interesting change, but he still kept a lot of that those interesting aspects of his personality, which to me presents a really good opportunity to stand out in an industry that is just full of really boring, honestly, people, right? It's like they don't really have anything that helps them stand out or sell the thing that they're trying to sell. And ultimately, that's what this business model is, right? So a lot of life insurance businesses, financial planning businesses, they bring people on and they say, hey, here's some marketing material. Here's how these things work. Now go sell these services for us. That's kind of the the company's business plan. And then within that, the individual agents or the life insurance agents, these financial planners, have to then go out and figure out how to build a client list. They have to figure out how to market themselves. And this guy in particular, to me, presents an interesting opportunity to build his own personal brand and market himself because he himself is interesting. So that's what we're doing today, talking about this, my friend, and we're gonna see how we can sell some life insurance, make it fun, make it
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
So life insurance and other financial products. So when we're talking
Yes.
about other financial products, we're talking about like retirement, 401ks, Roth IRAs, mutual
Yep.
funds, all of that good stuff.
Yep.
So I only recently became an adult. So
Same.
learning that like life insurance is not just a product that you buy in order to support the people after you die. But for the lady that I'm working with now, she talked about it, like you just said, about being able to borrow against it because they get really good interest rates on it and it grows. So it's something that you can use while you're alive and not just when you're dead. So I really, one of the things that when you said like, let's do life insurance, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like the thing nobody wants to buy, right?
Yep.
Nobody wants to think that they're going to die. And then when the benefit that you get from the product never comes to you, it only goes to the people after you die. So you're like, oh, great, I get to spend out all this money every single month paying for life insurance, and I never get to enjoy the thing that I'm actually purchasing. So it's such a hard sell by itself. I think financial investment is a little bit easier. Still difficult though, because a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, even their 40s don't want to think about their retirement. We all, especially here in America, we all think of ourselves as millionaires that haven't quite made it yet. So we're all assuming that one of these days we are going to make it big and we'll be just fine in our retirement. Do you watch The Office? I don't know if you've ever told me that you do or not.
Yeah.
You know the episode Scott's Tots?
Not by name.
It is the worst episode in all of The Office. And it was when Michael Scott promised kindergartners that he was going to pay for their college education. And they invite him to their senior year to honor him for this promise that he made. And he was like, somebody asked him, like, why did you promise this if you don't have the money? He goes, honestly, I thought I'd be a multimillionaire by now. So he thought, you know, in his own grandiose mind that he was going to make millions and millions of dollars, and he was doing something very generous. And it's just a terrible episode because at the end he has to admit to them he doesn't have any money, and they hadn't been planning to pay for their own college. So now all of a sudden they're in a pickle.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people go through life that way, and I even recognize that in myself. Like, oh, I'll be fine by the time I'm going to retire. I'll have tons of money by the time I'm going to retire. I don't need to think about that. So financial planning is just kind of that, just keep kicking the can down the road, where at the same time, the earlier you think about it, the better it is for you. So that, I think, is the challenge of these financial planners, life insurance, financial planning, to convince people, to have those conversations, to convince them that this is something that they need to work on. So I think that's a big challenge we're hitting right out of the door.
Yep.
And then on top of that, what you said, does he still have the long hair?
He doesn't. He cut the hair, but he kept his mustache. It's like very like cowboy, and we've even had conversations where it's like financial cowboy, you know, like what is that there? There's something there, right? You know, and so he has the mustache, and you can like pick him out of a lineup, right? There was a big picture of all the new advisors, and you're like, okay, oh, there he is. He's the one. Yeah. So he's got the look, and he has the personality as well. For sure.
And that's where I think a lot of people make the mistake to think that I'm in business, therefore I must be buttoned up and wear the suit and tie. And, you know, he cut his hair. Does he have to cut his hair? You know what I'm saying? But we tend to think if I'm in a professional position and I'm a professional person, I have to look how all of the other professionals do in order to match. So it'd be interesting to actually find out if you talk to let's say you put 20 of these advisors into a room, you might be able to point out that he is unique and different. But most likely, most of them have something really unique and different about them too. They're just
Absolutely.
absolutely papering it over and hiding it because they think that that's not something they should be bringing to their business.
Yeah, it's like they almost like the institution that tells you that you should leave that at home. It's like this is the way that we present ourselves here, and like that's kind of how the corporate business world has been for a long time. But I think that it provides an opportunity to it makes it even easier to stand out because everybody is so like in a box, right? Especially at the organizations like this, like it's a decent sized company, and there's but it's not too big, right? It's like it's the right in that middle range where you can still kind of make waves as somebody that's different, and doing things in a unique way. So lots of potential there for that. I want to talk a little bit about the clients portion of this, like who are life insurance agent or financial planners clients, and there are a couple unique examples even within this company that I can't really talk about specifically. That I actually worked for them for a little while, and I can't get into like specifics, obviously, but um, there are interesting examples within that organization of agents serving a specific niche, right? They like let them do whatever they want, and there's one person there who like serves doctors. He goes to colleges and speaks with doctors who are, with students who are going to become doctors. And he's like, here's how your life is going to change when you start making the money that you're going to make as a doctor. Like, here's what you should do to plan for that and prepare for paying off your student loans and XYZ, so that when they get to the point that they need somebody like him, he's the one that they go to, right? So I think that a really good way to figure out who your clients are in an industry like this, where the answer could really be anybody. Like everybody should probably have life insurance. Everybody should probably have some sort of financial plan. The way to figure out who your clients are is to say, these are the people that I want to help. And we've talked a little bit about it before. I've talked about it with him before. And so the interesting thing for him is that he is passionate about like blue collar workers, blue collar business owners, blue collar in general, because that's how he grew up. And that's, to me, there's some element of sentimentality that you can tap into there, where it's like, I want to help blue collar workers, blue collar business owners prepare for their financial future. I think there's a really powerful message there, and you can hit a really large group of people with a very broad range of incomes, right? Because in the financial planning side of things, you need to have people that can afford to pay for your services, but that doesn't mean that you can't help the people that can't afford them yet, right? So like having that broad range of everybody from the business owner all the way down to like their minimum wage employees, and having some sort of plan for all of them, and being able to go to a business like that and say like, I am the financial planner for blue collar businesses, and here's my thing that I'm going to do for you to provide value for you, so that whenever they're ready and they need somebody like him, they can come to him. I think that would be probably the way that I would work it for him. That's how I would go find my clients. I would say, these people are my clients, and here's how I'm going to approach them. And you would develop a plan around deciding who you want to help. Does that make sense?
Yes, I 100% agree. And when I was thinking about this earlier, when you said life insurance, before I was even financial planning, because even then I'm like, is this life insurance financial planning or just life insurance? Like my guess was it was a little bit more financial planning. My first thought was, because we're both small business owners too, I was like, he should totally go after small business owners. They don't have a boss that's bringing in speakers in order to help them plan for their future. They don't have 401k set up by the company that they work for necessarily. They know that they want to do this business that they wanted to do, and they haven't really thought about the financial, long-term financial results. And when I was thinking about it more life insurance, I was thinking, what was something happen to me if I'm the primary breadwinner and my business is 100% dependent on me? What happens if something happens to me and now they have to sell the house? They can't stay in the house. They have to, live on, my family is put through a very difficult situation because I didn't have a plan in place. So I love the direction you're going, and the idea of anytime I hear somebody say, who is your product for? And they're like, everybody. That's the biggest red flag that can possibly go off, because the second they say everybody, what they really mean is nobody, because their messaging is never going to resonate with any group of people because they're trying to keep it so broad and generic. And they just want to look like, we're the agent you can trust. And like, okay, are you saying I can't trust the rest of them because they say I can trust them? And I don't know who to trust. Or you're all trustworthy, which means you're all on the same playing field, which means I have no way of picking one over the other. So when you niche down, like I did with my marketing coaching, when I first started doing marketing coaching, I started helping people that sell handmade products, because I could say, I know exactly what your problems are. I know exactly what you're going through. I know the mindset issues you're having. I know that you're underpricing things. I know that you're not picking a niche is a big one in that. So I know the exact problems that they're going through. And so I'm able to create custom solutions just for them. And then they're attracted to me because I'm not saying I can help everybody. I'm saying I can help you specifically. I have cracked the code on how to help you with your business. And so I love what you said with the doctor. I mean, I think that's brilliant, going to the doctors and the young doctors and saying, this is what you need to start planning for your student loans. This is how you need to start divvying up your money when you first start running your practice. They are going to be having incomes at a much higher level than what most Americans are just going out to the workforce for. And so he's preparing them, and he can talk specifically to their problem. And if you imagine you had one of these blue collar workers and a doctor and a nurse and somebody else all in the room together, he wouldn't be able to talk to any one of them specifically without ignoring the rest.
Yeah.
And so then you have to be broad in general, which means nobody is really getting the help that they need. Yep. So I think the blue collar is fantastic. And specifically, like if he targeted in with contractors, people who own home service type businesses, air conditioner repair, HVAC guys, people who do garage doors, people who do garage floors, people who do painting, people who do roofing, people who do all of those things. And be able to get into the associations that they're in and be able to present to those associations and talk about their specific issues as business owners to them specifically. Because then, and you said the beautiful thing, not only are you getting them, but that person has how many employees?
Yeah.
So you're able to help them. I'm going to help you, Mr. Business Owner, plan for your financial future. What happens if you get hurt? That's what my financial planner asked me about. Like, what if it happens if you get hurt and you can't do your business, but you're not dead, right? If I'm dead, my family can get the life insurance. But what if I'm not dead but I can't work? So what are we going to do there? And so being able to address those things specifically. And then once they have that good relationship there, it trickles down. And you bring them in to talk to your guys. You tell each of the guys, like, hey, we're going to set you up with 401ks. And I know that's what a lot of these financial guys are looking for, are businesses that they can set up 401k programs through for their employees. And you'd be able to do it right there with them in the business.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, I think I maybe failed to mention the financial planner side of this business. In my head, they just kind of like go together because so many.
You just said life insurance, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry to spring it on you. I know you're a
I'm
shark and you
thinking
can
all
handle
day
it.
about life insurance. And I'm like, I hope it's financial planning too, because that would make this so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. Well, surprise, it is. We're doing it live, people. That's what we
We're
do
doing it
here.
live.
But yeah, so lots of products, lots of different directions that they can go there. And what really, so we have the customers, right? That's who he wants to target. I think it's a great idea. When he mentioned it, I was like, forget everything else that you're doing, focus on that. And it's hard to get somebody to like make that connection. Like it's hard to say, if you stop doing everything else that you're doing and just do this, you will be 10 times, 100 times as successful as anybody else at this thing right now. Because
I want
that's
to address that real quick. Not to
yeah.
cut you off, but before
No,
you
you're
go
good.
further than that, because this is huge. It is terrifying for a business owner to say, I am only going to go after this market and I'm going to ignore the rest, because what they're seeing is themselves struggling right now. And let's say they have 2 or 3 contractors already. And they're like, if I ignore everybody else, then I only have 2 or 3 contractors. That's how they're thinking about it. I only have these 2 or 3 blue collar type businesses that I'm working with. And so if I don't accept everything that comes into the door, I'm going to starve. And it's so counterintuitive, because the exact opposite is what happens. The second you ignore everything else and you focus on the contractors, that's when you really see the growth in your business that you have the potential of. But there's almost that leap of faith you have to take. And I always tell people, like, you don't have to say no. If somebody off the street says, hey, I found your card and I want to hire you as a financial planner, you don't have to say no, but none of your marketing is going to that general person off the street. So
Yep.
if they're like, oh, I was referred to you, and you don't have to be like, no, you're not a contractor, I'm not working with you. You can say yes to that, but don't market to everybody. So I just wanted to pop that in there, so that everybody listening to this understands that I understand that what we are saying sounds scary, and it sounds like you are cutting off all of this potential for your business, and you are limiting yourself to a very small segment of the market. And that sounds like you're going to fail and you're going to have just 2 customers. But you've got to trust us on this. It is proven over and over and over again that if you want to actually grow, you niche down. There's riches in the niches. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I love that. And that's like, you were saying everything that I was going to lean in and say. It's like, it's so
Oh,
powerful.
I stole it from you.
Yeah.
I wanted to say it before you had a chance to say it so I could get credit.
No, I see what you're doing. I see. No, it's exactly right. And like, I'm going through this right now myself in my own business. And like, I'm a marketing company and I know these things, and it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say no to people. It's hard for me to really focus my efforts on this one lane that I'm really focusing on now. But I've already seen the results. Like the thing to realize there too is, when you specialize, when you niche down, you get better at providing that service also, right? It's like my attention was split between all these clients, and I'm doing things for this niche over here and this niche over here. And it's like, if I just, which I'm doing now, if I just put the blinders on and say, I'm providing this service for this client in this way that I know works, and I'm going to continue to refine it and make it work better over time, you'll have a better product also. It's not just that you're going to get more clients more easily and your marketing is going to connect better with them. That happens, but also your product gets better. And because your product gets better, you get more customers. And it's just like this flywheel of stuff that keeps building and growing because you decided to focus.
And you get more efficient.
Yes.
You get more efficient at what you deliver, so that your costs to deliver go down as well.
Yeah.
So you get better at it, but you also get better at delivering and more efficient at delivering. And you're not spread out into 20 million different places. You're just laser focused on the one.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah. So I think that that's what I would do if I was in his shoes. I would stop doing the cold calls to my friends and family and trying to sell them life insurance. I would stop following the kind of structured framework that the business gives you, because they say, here's how you get your first 10 clients. And there's nothing wrong with what they're saying to do, other than the fact that it's like, it's not very efficient, and it will lead to people burning out or not making it because only a certain percentage of those people, only a certain percent of those people are going to actually make that system work. It's just a numbers game, right? So like there's only so many friends and family that are going to be willing to buy life insurance from you. There's only so many people that you can get into your sales pipeline that are actually going to convert through that sort of thing. That's just like general and broad. And what happens is only a few of the people that they bring in as new agents actually make it and stay on. So not that it's wrong, but they would have a much better retention rate and a much better, more scalable business if they taught things like this, like niche down, all the things that we're talking about. So if I were him, that's what I would do. Now that we've talked about customers, I think that maybe, and we talked a little bit about pain points as well, right? So it's like if you die or if you get sick, like what's going to happen. I think those are pretty clear. I think that maybe there's like an upside that we can sell too, right? So like having securing your family's financial future, not just after you die, but while you're still alive. Like there's a lot of opportunity for content there that you can say is for a niche, but is just broadly like applicable to everybody. And let me clarify. So like you can plug your $6,000 that you put into an IRA into a calculator and say like, okay, in X amount of years, it's going to be $1 million. Like, do you want to have, hey, Joe Painter, hey, XYZ person, do you want to be a millionaire by the time you're this many years old? Here's how you do it. And you like show that in a calculator and you like talk about how, being rich or being wealthy isn't just for like business owners or for people that it like you bring it down and you make it attainable for everybody, and you can package that and present it to people in a very real way that I think would connect with that audience. And the when you do that, you get like so many eyeballs. You can make like really viral content just by showing the numbers, just by like saying, hey, do you want to be a millionaire? Here's how you go from A to Z and like have a secure financial future for you and your family kind of thing. Amazing top of funnel for whatever he's doing, whatever his like next step is, would be like viral content for that. And I think like instead of a pain point, leaning into that financial freedom kind of thing, I think would be pretty powerful as well.
I like that a lot because there is security for your future and your family that's very nebulous, and it's very like, okay, what does that actually mean? But become a millionaire by the time you're 65 is way different. And that's going to be the kind of thing that gets their wheels growing like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean by the time I'm 65 without owning your own business or without even just making it in your business, just through financial planning, we can show you the path to become a millionaire by the time you're 65. So my daughter Willow just opened an investment account, and we found a calculator online. And I tell you what, that is like my new favorite tool. I actually went in there yesterday. I'm like, what if I gave each of my kids $2 million? Because like, I'm just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. Like, okay, what if I gave each of my kids $2 million? Like, how much would they have that they could live on through like the rest of their life? Like, so they could live on like $85,000 a year, something like that on average. Yep. And so I play with that tool all the time. And when I showed it to Willow's like, oh, I could be a millionaire by the time. So that's exciting. Like, that's something like, okay, now I have a goal that I want to achieve. We all want to be millionaires. And there's really simple steps that we can take that take us on that path to get us to that $1 million. And I think you just need to make it much more sexy than money for your retirement. Yeah. At the same time, I think we also need to do a little bit of the fear, right? Like, you're going to
you need
cat food. You're going to be eating cat food when you're 65 or dying on the Walmart floor. So the one podcast that I listened to about finances and getting out of debt, that's his threat. He's like, you're going to die on the Walmart floor if you don't get this debt in check and then actually grow it into, a real asset that you can use to retire. So my friend Mike McGroarty, I brought him up last episode. I'm going to bring him up now because he always goes back to enter the conversation that they're having in their head. What is the conversation they are having in their head? So what is your prospect thinking already? What are their fears? What are their worries? What are their concerns? What are their dreams? What are their desires that they're already thinking that you can just like start talking back to them where
Step right in.
yeah, you just step right in, and now we're having a verbal conversation back and forth.
It's
Or
interesting when that clicks. Like I've run some campaigns where I didn't quite have it right in the beginning and like changed just a little something about the copy or the writing, and you can see it start to take off, and you're like, oh, they weren't thinking about, if we're talking about this life insurance example, maybe they weren't thinking about their family after they die. Maybe it was like, maybe it was really more of a selfish thing and they wanted to be secure themselves, and you just had to change that language just a tiny bit, one sentence, and like you figure out that conversation.
Yeah, and you know, you got it too when they'll say, "Are you in my head?" I'll say to my clients, I'm like, especially with my handmade clients, I'll say, and you're sending to an ugly Facebook page where you've got a blurry picture of your table from the last vendor show you were at, where you can't even see the products because it's too far away, it's dark, and I just go on, and they're like, were you at my page? So the more you can connect with exactly what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they're thinking, and what they're actually worried about, the better. So with financial planning, what is the conversation happening in people's heads? Because I don't necessarily think I want a secure future for my kids. I do think that, but I mostly think that that's their responsibility. My kids are older at this point, right? So my youngest is 16. I'm not too worried that something's going to happen in 2 years. Maybe I should be more, but they're pretty much of age that they can take care of themselves. One thing I hear from people a lot is generational wealth. Not so much I want to take care of my kids, but I want to start creating generational wealth. And I see that on a lot of like middle class people that maybe grew up poor. They've made it to the middle class and they want their kids to be able to enjoy that next level and creating that generational wealth. I'm not sure how common that is, but that is something that I see a lot. What do you think? What do you think people are thinking about that we can enter into that conversation?
I think that generational wealth is definitely a buzzword in the circle of people that are at least peripherally interested in finance, right? It's like people that are on finance TikTok and like are getting those videos, they learn about generational wealth, and it's one of those, like, I call them like gateway terms. If you're trying to do like a viral video in any niche, I always look for gateway terms. What is the thing that's going to get people that are casually interested in it and keep them coming back? Like, okay, maybe I want to learn a little bit more about it, like a little taste, keep coming back for more, and then eventually they take the next step. Gateway terms in niches like that are really great for viral content. I think that you want to maybe get people before they're even there. And I think that the conversation that most people are having in their head is that what you said in the beginning, like kicking the can down the road. They're like, yeah, I probably should be preparing, but I don't need to because of XYZ. It's like
I don't know how to get started. I probably should be doing this, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed. I think
don't even know where to start. Yes. And like that's why I love your local in-person business, local business funnel that you were doing with your education events, like scaling that and like doing that online as a webinar for the financial industry. It's like if you can step in and like have that conversation with people that they're having in their head, like, that you should be doing it, but you have no idea how. I'm going to tell you the next 3 things that you need to do to get set up for your future, whatever that tagline is. Not set up for your future, but like the next 3 things you need to do so that you're not financially illiterate anymore.
Or how to start, how you can have $1 million by the time you retire, even if you haven't invested a dime yet.
Yeah, that's great.
That I like, because I feel like I'm always hearing, well, you're so far behind. You're so far behind. And that one financial podcast that I listened to, he's like, dude, you're 29 and you don't even have a Roth IRA. You just missed your best window for investing for that compound interest. And I'm like, I'm 44.
Yeah, it's like, what do I do now?
For me? Is there
Yeah.
any hope for me at all? And so when I do the calculator, I'm surprised at how quickly I can get there because I don't have the income of a 20-some-year-old. I have a much higher income. And so I'm able to put in more and I can grow it more. So yeah, really kind of stepping in and like any kind of excuse, or I like excuses and I like just objections. Like, nah, I don't need to worry about that because I'm not whatever. I just don't know where I would get started. Like anything that you could imagine the person is thinking on the other end, you have to create education and or products created specifically for that state of mind.
Yep.
You know, I don't think I'm going to need it. I think I'll be just fine. Social Security will be okay. You know, and then have a headline. You cannot depend if you're under the age of 52, Social Security is not guaranteed for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's taking a myth that I'm holding, and it's cracking that myth and then educating me that I can actually start investing, et cetera, and get to the goal that I want to get to, even if I haven't started yet.
Yes, I love that. And I love the process of like headline development because it really puts you in the space of trying to figure out where they are. Like it's what's in it for them. If you start there, like you'll end up in a much better place, right? Like figuring out how to stop people in their tracks with that one line that they were probably, it's like going on in the back of their mind all day anyway, and they see it and it's like instantly they stop and they have to read more. That to me, if you can learn that skill, a lot of the other stuff that we talk about will kind of fall into place. I know there's a lot of parts,
Yes.
but getting somebody to stop and lean in and
Paying attention.
Yes. Yeah. That's like to me, both the hardest and most important thing like now, because there's just constant media, constant ads, constant just like stuff coming at everybody 24/7, and you have to kind of figure out how to cut through the noise, or else it's not going to be effective.
So the beauty of what we've already talked about with the ideal customer, let's say we go after HVAC guys, and what's a better way to say that? Well, let's go roofing contractors. And now I'm self-conscious because I know I say roofing weird. So let's even people in Ohio make fun of me for the way I say roofing. But let's say we have roofing contractors, and if you're running an ad just to anybody and everybody, and you're saying how to invest so that you have $1 million, I mean, that could be a really good hook. But imagine you are a roofing contractor and you go to Facebook and an ad pops up and it says, attention, roofing contract business owners. I don't know exactly how you would say it, right?
Yeah.
Roofing business owners. Are you going to be able to retire in your business, or have you been kicking the can down the road? Something to that effect. Then if I am a contractor or I'm a roofing contractor, then that immediately pops off the page to me and says, that's for me. I've been doing that. So we have that affinity with, it just called me out by my title.
Yep.
Right. I have a pit bull. If something says attention pit bull owners, you must read this one thing about keeping your pit bull specifically healthy. Then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What's wrong with my pit bull?
Yeah.
What could be wrong that I have to pay attention to?
Yeah.
So that affinity of calling out to that, and I hope everybody listening to that just understands how powerful that is. If you see attention roofing contract business owners, and then we've got to find the right headline about, if you've been kicking the can down the road for your retirement, you're going to find yourself hammering shingles when you're 75 up in the rain and the cold and the snow, instead of enjoying a beautiful retirement down in Southwest Florida, something like that. And that's going to jolt them because they're like, he's talking to me, so he must really know what it is that I'm going through. He must really understand what I need to do in order to fix this problem. And it's going to stop you in your tracks. You're going to pay attention. And the person that delivers that message is now the expert.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that to clarify there, like the importance of the headline, there's so many things that go into that. Like if you don't understand your ideal client, like you're saying, you're not going to be able to speak directly to them, and the headline isn't going to be effective. So to me, it's like, it is the most important part, but only if you understand everything else that goes into crafting it and like making it effective. Yeah. So that's that. And I think we got our audience and we got our pain points and like our messaging. So now let's talk about building a list. I think we kind of like dipped our toe in there, like with maybe webinars, maybe some sort of online education. I like the idea of being able to hit, the entire country of roofing contractors and get them all on a Zoom call about this one thing, and just collecting their information when they register through paid advertising is probably how I would do it. So you can reach the entire country. That's like, to me, the scale that I would want to be at if I were a financial advisor, insurance person. And I don't want to, you can only go to so many networking events. You can only like shake so many hands, meet so many people yourself. And that's why, I know we're kind of getting out of the realm of local business, but that's why digital marketing is so powerful. It's like you can take something that works and provides value at a local level, and maybe he even starts here and tests it and then takes it to that broader scale. Maybe that's like you do it here first and you see what really connects with people. Like you've done that, and you told me that worked really well for you.
And I was going to say that. I was going to say doing it locally and shaking the hands with the HVAC guys and the roofing contractors and all of these guys and really sitting down with them face to face. Are you investing? Where are you investing? Why aren't you investing? Actually having those conversations is going to help you get to the heart of what is actually needed. So when I wanted to switch from, well, not totally switch, but include, so I help handmade sellers sell online all over the country. I wanted to help local businesses with Facebook, and I had some really great ideas, but I wanted to know where their mind was first. So I went to the networking events and I sat down with them and I talked to them and I figured out where their pain points are, where they were actually stuck. Instead of going in and assuming that I know what's best for them, I found out where they were so that I could start serving them from where they were. So I agree. I think you can totally go national with this, but you can start at a local level. And, if it were me, I would make like a hit list of top 100 companies that I want to close in this area, and make a point to sit down and have a meeting with every single one of them. Not a pitch, not a sales call, but just I'm looking to help more contractors like you, whether you're investing already or not. I would like to just buy you lunch. Let's sit down, have a conversation, so I can understand better where guys who own a business of your size are in their personal finances.
Yeah, you want to figure out what they need. And I think when you approach the initial conversation with someone like that, it tends to be more likely to even lead to a sale later on down the road, because that in and of itself is leading with value, right? You're like, I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to learn what service I can provide you that would actually be helpful, right? And like how to provide it.
And like, whether it's right for you or not, I want to provide this at least for other people.
Yes.
So you're helping me out. That's a big hook. You're helping me out. I really appreciate it. Like I said, not a sales call. There's going to be no pressure, whatever. I'm just trying to understand so I can put packages together for guys just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to open up so many doors. Nobody wants to sit down with a salesman. Everybody likes to buy. Nobody likes to be sold. So nobody wants to sit down. Immediately your guard is up. But if you're sitting there having a casual conversation, that's where I would start. I would start with the casual conversations. And once I talk to a bunch of those guys, I would say something to the effect of, I'm actually putting together a free training based on all the information that I'm gathering from these different companies that I've talked to. I'm putting together a free training to talk about the types of the ways that I can help guys in your particular situation actually meet their goal faster, or start investing now, or how can you, whatever they address, whatever they say their problems are, you say, oh, I'm actually putting on a workshop that's all about that. I'd love to invite you. It's totally free. There's going to be snacks, have it catered, do whatever you need to do to make it really, really great. And then you host the free workshop. And then that workshop becomes the basis for what you can eventually do with a webinar.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. I think that maybe the hard thing for me, when I sit down to think about these business ideas and when I build these worlds, it's like from my level of understanding of marketing, not to sound like high and mighty, like everybody's at their own level of understanding. And I'm like, well, why don't we just like throw ads out into the whole country and we'll like get every contractor on earth to come to this webinar and we'll do the, like that's like the scale that I want to be at. And I think bringing it down and making it more realistic not only would be good for me to do, right? It's like I should do that in some things as well that I might be like rushing on or getting ahead of myself on. But it helps me think in the frame of mind of where some of my potential clients are too. It's like they're local businesses. I need to really understand again their situation, and like having those conversations with people is important, and really like knowing where they're coming from will help solve their problems. So yeah,
and a lot of those businesses don't have the answers. If you asked a financial advisor what is going on in your potential customer's head, your potential client's head, they need a financial advisor.
Yeah,
but like,
they're not
I've
thinking
never
that.
sat there and thought I need a financial advisor. I have thought I need to talk to somebody and get some help.
Yeah.
Because I really don't understand the difference between a 401k and Roth IRA and which one makes more sense. And like, can I have a 401k? Like, we don't know these things as the average citizen wandering around this country. We don't know what these things are.
Yeah.
So I would think I need to talk to somebody. And ultimately the person we went and talked to was just somebody very friendly that invited us, me and Willow invited us out to, meet at Panera to find out more about my business first. So she led with giving. She's like, I want to learn more about your business. I want to learn what you're doing. She never pitched me. She said, but at the end, she said, if you ever want to talk about financial stuff, we can sit down and have a conversation. And it was probably 6 months later, we sat down. If her follow-up had been better, she needed better follow-up, but we did. And we sat down and Willow got her thing started, and we're going to get ours started soon. But yeah, the starting small, actually connecting with people and learning what those trigger points are for people is so important. And too many people skip it because they think they want to skip. The best worst analogy is like going to a bar and just walking up to somebody and saying, do you want to go home and have sex?
Yeah.
Like some people are going to say yes.
Yeah.
But you're going to get a very small percentage of potentials that are going to say yes. It's about, hi, how are you? Can I buy you, can I buy you a drink? I really like this place. Oh, well, this band is really good. You're having a conversation, and too many business owners want to jump to shaking hands to want to jump into bed.
And like even
do the work in between.
Yes. And like I what you said resonated with me because I have had conversations like that where it's like, well, just nobody wants to do business. Everybody just wants to, like be friends or like hang out. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like nobody goes into one of those situations like, I'm here to buy insurance or I'm here to find a financial advisor. It's like they go in there to meet people. And there's like two schools of people, in my opinion, when you go to like a networking event. There are the people that are there to build relationships and they're there to like meet people and interact and like provide value. And then there's the salespeople, and you can almost pick them out.
Yep.
Like the salesperson's like bouncing around everybody and like handing out cards. And I'm not saying that's a wrong thing to do, but
Mhm.
then there's the people that are like in really intense conversations, like one-on-one conversations with somebody, and you're like, oh, they're becoming friends right now. Like they've
Yep,
bonded over something, and they're probably going to do business together in some capacity, even if it's like, hey, this guy is the right fit for you. Like he, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, and that's what I've tried to, tried to talk to my friend about. It's like, it's not about, if you're when you're doing that portion of the business, it's less about selling and more about like becoming that person's go-to. It's like, how do
Yep,
you become the person, their financial person? There are so many people out there that don't have a financial person. They might not need one or might not be in the market for it, but if you become their friend that is the financial guy, why would they recommend anybody else? They're going to send everybody to you
exactly.
because you're their financial guy, even if they're not your client. So yeah, I
That's
totally agree
exactly
with
right.
that. Yep.
And the lady that we ended up hiring, we liked her personally. We weren't ready to do anything right away. But then you see in the news about Social Security, and then you see a TikTok about, planning for your future, and then you start listening to
Generational
a
wealth.
financial podcast. And then you're like, I need a financial person. And because we had already built a relationship with her, she, yes, could stay more in contact for sure, through social media and that sort of thing. But although she didn't wasn't zero contact, she did good. I just think there's a lot more she could have done, from my perspective, especially with social media. Um, but the rest of the world kept hammering into my head that I need to be investing. My 19-year-old daughter was hammering into my head that we need to be investing. Mom, we need to be setting this up. We need to do something. And so eventually it was just like, all right, just call her. Let's set it up. Right. So there were a lot of other things doing the selling, but because we were friends with her, we had our person.
Yep.
So we had the person to call. And then who are we going to, like, what am I going to go sit in a meeting with her and say, okay, thanks, and then set up an account with some online something? I still don't know
Right.
what I'm doing. I still want her to handle it. Like, she
Yeah.
explained it to me. I'm like, okay, now I know what you're talking about,
That's so
but
important.
I shouldn't be trusted with this.
Yeah, that's so important. Like that points to that, that other, last episode we were talking about all the common problems, all the common things that businesses run up into with content and with putting things out online, and that resistance to putting things out, because like if I give away my knowledge or my information, like why would they come to me if they know how to do it? It's like 98% of people are going to do the thing that you just did. You're like, I don't thank you for teaching me all that, but how do I hire you to do it? Like,
Yep.
I'm not going to do it. You do it for me now that I know you're the expert.
Yep.
And that's like the mentality. You got to like put that out into the world so that you build yourself up as the person that's the trusted expert, build the know, like, and trust, and then they're
Mhm.
just going to come straight back to you when they're ready. So
Yep.
yeah,
And
love
and
that.
it's the lean in, lean out, right? So when you're selling, you're leaning in, and you're in their face, and they're doing this and like, okay, 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 back up, back up, back up. I need to talk to my husband. I have to think about it. They're backing up and they're trying to get away from you. But when you lean back and say, I'm just giving freely, there's no pressure here. I just want what's best for you. You have a question, you call me. They start to lean in like, yeah, but like, can you help me? Like,
Yeah,
can you help me? And then you completely change the dynamic of you chasing after people to people chasing after you
yeah.
and saying, I need help. I know now that I'm in trouble or that I'm behind, and I need your help like right now.
Yeah, and I think that points to maybe like a slight difference in our preferred strategies. So like I think that I 100% agree that that's like the way that you should do it. I think that sometimes my aversion to, I don't know what it is. It's not like putting myself out there, and I know we're kind of getting off on a tangent here, but it's our show. We do what we want.
We do whatever we want to here.
It's like I almost like I want results now. And
Mhm.
like I know that I can get them by just like doing whatever direct offer, direct response thing. I know that my results aren't going to be as good, but I know that I'm going to get some initial traction, and I can use that money to pay somebody else to do the lean in kind of like training, trust building stuff for me. And I don't want to do it. Like, I just want results. And then I want to pay somebody else to like handle that side of it. And I know, again, it's like much better if my face is on it, much better if it's coming from me, the owner of the business. But sometimes you'll run into people that don't want to do it. They just won't do it. I deal with a lot of that with my own clients. They're like, I'm not going to do it. And the only thing that they're open to doing is just straight advertising. And like,
Right.
I don't think that that's the right way to do it, but there is something to be said about, getting that initial traction and then really understanding how to leverage the revenue that's coming in to build out the other thing. I do think that you can do all of it at the same time, and it would probably be better to start the other way and build those relationships, but there are a lot of different paths to success.
Yes. I don't think it's necessarily right or wrong. What I would do, because I run ads,
Sure.
but I don't run ads directly to purchase my product. I run ads to put people into a 5-day challenge. And from the 5-day challenge, by the end of that 5-day challenge, so they'll be in my group for 8 days by the time I pitch them. So I consider that's pretty immediate for me, right? And I can get my ad cost back on that and then some. And it's continuity. So I'm getting consistent sales after that. So I don't have a problem with that. And if I could run an ad and say, go join my program, I would run that ad in a heartbeat if I thought that I could do that profitably, and at least self-liquidate that offer on the front end so that I have the continuity on the back end. What I don't know if I've ever talked to you about, I learned it from Caleb O'Dowd, who learned it from Dean Jackson, who I think it was his friend that
learned it from somebody else who learned it from somebody else.
But it was this big lead generation company, and they looked at leads across the board, and they said, if you get 100 leads, 50% of them will buy it within 18 months. Within 18 months, they will buy this product or service that they are a lead for. Of those 50, it's something like 10% of them, I think it is. I'd have to look at the numbers again, but that's a pretty close number. 10% of them will buy within 90 days. So when you're doing straight advertising, you're getting that 10% of the 50. So you're getting 5% of the total 100, right? We got 100 leads coming in. We're selling 5% of them. For some businesses, that's really, really good business. But what I always get like obsessed with is those other 45. Those other 45 are going to buy. It's a much bigger number than the 5%. And the other 45 aren't going to buy necessarily from you. They're going to buy it from somewhere. In fact, that whole 50% is going to buy it from somebody. It's your job to make sure it's you. And so for me, going for the front end sale and getting the results now, let's get results now, that can get some cash flow going. But being patient with those other 45 people and dripping and dripping and dripping and building the relationship and dripping just compounds over time to where you have this massive amount of people that are buying from you that may have been on your list. I literally have clients in the handmade space. People will have followed them for a year to almost 2 years, and then they'll jump in and spend $100, $200 with them. And it costs them nothing to stay in contact with that person versus the first brand new person that they came in.
Yeah.
But they stayed in contact. So that's why I obsess with that. That's one reason why I obsess with the relationship building. The other reason is it's easier to sell. Not everybody's a great salesperson. Not everybody's a great marketer. If I can get them into my universe and get them to know, like, and trust me, when I then have something to sell them, it's just so much easier. I don't have to split test, A/B test, anything. I've got like 12 people in my retreat right now that my retreat sales page is fine. It's not anything I could ever run to a cold list, but my hot list bought it like that. I sold out half the spots in 2-3 days.
Nice.
Because they know, like, and trust me. And so I love that end of it. And to me, it's a much more solid foundation, because if you're running ads and the ads are working great and you're pulling in those numbers, but you have no like real good follow-up for those other 45, and then Facebook closes your account, or the ad just stops working, or the lead costs double, now you're in a situation where the money got cut off and
For
you
sure.
don't have the backup to make it happen, to keep it going.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Like you need, I think even in my campaigns that I run that are, I call them like quick and dirty. It's like we need to make some cash now,
Yep.
or else the business is going to close, or we don't want to do any of the other stuff. You need to still collect. You need to still collect actionable pieces of information. So it's got to be like name, phone number, email, something like that,
Yep.
that you can come back and like take action on again, to squeeze revenue out of that list, squeeze the rest of those
Yep.
leads. But yeah,
Squeeze them
yeah,
dry.
great
You
point.
got 18 months to squeeze them dry.
Yeah, yeah.
And some are going to go longer than that.
Yeah, and that even too, it's like when you get into the lookalike audiences, custom audiences in Facebook ads, it's like you have even longer, because that customer data, even if you're not using it as a lead, as like a direct contact with them, it's still good for your lookalike audiences and things of that nature. So love it. Okay, building a list. We already talked about know, like, trust. How to stand out. I think that it's important to remember, for anybody that's in like an industry like this, like real estate agents, life insurance, financial planners, where it's like a person is the business to me. Like even if they're working for an agency or working under the umbrella of another company, it's like their personal brand is as important, if not more important, than the company that they work for. And leaning into that, I think, is the thing that makes people stand out. And for him, he has a really strong personal brand already. Interesting looking guy, musician, likes a lot of things, like, not that this is super unique, but likes nice things. He's like a cigar guy. He has like nice shoes. He just interesting, a lot of interesting things about him. And I think leaning into that in some way, kind of like most interesting man kind of vibe, like there's something there. Even if he markets to, we're talking blue collar, even if he markets to mostly men, it's like he's kind of like a guy's guy, not in like a toxic way, but like a, classic man, James Bondy kind of guy. So I like all those things about his personality myself. And I think that building a brand around that for him could be pretty powerful.
Yeah, and so you said he likes the blue collar people.
Yep.
Let's say we're going blue collar direction. What is his background when it comes to blue collar? So he kind of grew up that way. Like my dad was a roofer, right? So what did he grow up around that? Was his earlier jobs more manual labor type jobs? What is his background?
He at one point was a cobbler, so he like fixed shoes, right? It's like very hands, work with your hands, kind of like older industry kind of thing. And I believe that, I don't remember exactly, but I know that his family is in kind of like the trade,
I was going to say, I think instead of blue collar, we need to say tradesman.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like the word tradesman more. Okay, so here's what I'm envisioning. At first, when you were saying blue collar, I imagine this guy up on a roof, nailing in shingles, talking about like answering frequently asked questions like, people are always asking me, what the heck is a Roth IRA? Pound, pound, pound. and like have that visual element to it. But if he's kind of like that man's man, James Bond, most interesting, being a cobbler, oh my gosh, sit there and fix some shoes, dude. Like, on video, fix some shoes, just doing those interesting things that an interesting person would do. It could be him shaping his mustache and talking about why you shouldn't cash out your 401k and what that could actually turn into in the future. It could be him tuning his guitar and talking to the camera about and so he's going to have all of these like most interesting man type things to do. He plays the guitar and he cobbles shoes and he does the thing, and maybe maybe he's pouring himself a drink with some McClellan whiskey or something like that. And then he was like, a lot of people think that, a Roth IRA and an IRA are the same thing, but actually they're not.
Yep.
You see here, I like to use the round ice cubes because I think the round ice cubes they make it nice and cold. It doesn't melt as fast. Anyhow, so the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA. And so it has those visually interesting elements, and he can be that interesting person while giving little tidbits of information. I think for men, they're going to lean into the guitar, the cobbling, the drinking, the cigar, the shoes, that whole lifestyle, the mustache, right? They're going to lean into that, and they'll be like, that's my financial guy. That's my guy.
Yeah, and there's like,
I think he should be on TikTok. If he can go national, he should be on TikTok.
Oh yeah, 100%. But just like we were talking about last episode, we may have talked a little bit this episode about how there's just content everywhere. It's like he is like just like a walking influencer. And I know that's like weird to say, but he's a younger guy too. He's younger than me. And like he has all these like older kind of like classic interests and characteristics. And it's like, what's the word? I think it's anachronism, right? He's like out of time kind of guy. And I'm like there's just like stuff there. I could do so much with that for like video or like written content. There's just a lot there. So yeah, I love that idea. And I think that it's fantastic.
I mean, look at all these influencers who are trying to find a product to sell. He has a product. He's a real financial advisor and I know they have rules, and I know there are things they can say and there are things that they can't say, but he can straight up educate, and he can talk about like, well, the foolish man, like I'm imagining, like, I'm trying to think of like whose voice I'm channeling here, but like the foolish man, almost like he's like saying proverbs and things like that. The foolish man kicks the can down the road, but you don't want to be a foolish man. The wise man plans for his future, takes care of his family.
While he's fixing a shoe.
While he's fixing a shoe. And like any other little things like that he can do is just fabulous.
I could see him like having like a forge in his garage where he like makes knives and stuff, like he would do that too.
And just he could probably just polish knives, and he just needs to get that voice and that like
he has
way of talking.
That's my thing. Like he already is like that. Like he kind of has a little bit of that whatever. Like it's like talking to somebody from old Western times every once in a while. I'm like, what did you just say to me? Like he walked in the other day. Mariah and I were somewhere. Maybe we were to hang out with him. I don't remember. It's been a blur since the baby. But like we hung out with him, and he walked in and he was like, it was like, how are my people doing? How are my people today? So good to see my people. Like, who are you? Like,
I love it.
But such a great guy too, like very genuine and very nice. And that comes across well on video, in content.
And on social media. So if we're going to talk social media and about building a following and building a group of people who are just dying to do business with you, where you're leaning back and they're leaning in. If we're looking at social media, a financial advisor is like visually not an interesting business. It's just not visually interesting. What are you going to take pictures of, like empty documents and
spreadsheets?
Spreadsheets and maybe like the interface of your website. So usually what I tell people in that position is it's a lot of selfies, right? But you use selfies that are interesting, not just a click, here's me with my sunglasses on in the car and like off to do some financial planning today. But if this guy has the look, he is the visual, he is the brand, he's the visual, he's the thing that people are going to lean into. And that gets me super excited about that. And I say this to everybody listening: if you're in a professional business where it is not very visual, if you're an attorney, if you're a financial advisor, if you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper, and it's just not a very sexy visual. I'm a coach. There's not a lot of visuals to even being a coach, right? You got to find those things about you and yourself. I've literally posted a picture of me eating a yellow watermelon while working on my Facebook page, because I like yellow watermelon, right? So I'm leaning into the things that I like about myself. I wish my dog wasn't camera shy, because it would be totally me and my dog. And some people do that. Their dog is part of their brand, and their dog goes everywhere with them. And that's what people gravitate towards. And they hear stories about the dog, and they ask about the dog, and they want to know all about the dog. One of my clients is a caterer, and she played like high level college basketball and was a basketball coach. She posted about that on her Facebook page, and people called her and said, "Hey, are you the caterer that used to play basketball?" Like, just something, little things like that of bringing you into it, giving you more of, now she has a lot of visuals, right? She has food is visual. But it's a way for people to connect with that person. And if you're going to do social media, you've got to have something interesting to say besides, "Hey, need help with your financial advising? Call me."
Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. But they are interested in a guy smoking a cigar with a bourbon and a handlebar mustache.
Yeah,
like, that's something that's going to make me stop and say, "Wait, what is this?
Yeah,
what is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, out in like the forest, like chopping wood or something. Just like there's so many
wood
visuals
chopper.
there.
There's a wood chopper on TikTok, but I don't follow him for his financial advice.
Yeah. There's a lady wood chopper in Canada.
I've seen her.
Man.
I've seen her. I actually, yes, I shared it with Clary because I'm like, like this.
It pops up all the time. I'm like, hey, like, why am I getting served this? And then she like rips a log in half, and I'm like, okay, I know why I'm getting. That's great. Yeah.
I love the comment section, because they're like, "Yeah, I'm here for the axe review because I wasn't sure what kind of axe I should be buying."
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I'm going to have to keep like watching more reviews, because I'm still not quite sure if this is the
I'm here to work on my tree identification skills, and like I'm going to need to at least watch every single video they put out.
Exactly. I love the ones where they're like, "Why is this video 8 hours long?" It's so good. But that's what I see, like bringing that level of interest. I think with that, it's a winner. And then when you do ads and you have those strong visuals, you can bring really interesting visuals even into your ads, of him, like, doing a video of him talking about Roth IRAs as a video to get views, for retargeting, as a video for retargeting, where people are watching him cobble and listen to IRAs at the same time. That's just going to make all of your marketing easier. And I want to like really bring that home. I want everybody to hear this. What we're talking about sounds like work, but it actually makes your marketing easier. It makes all of this easier. It takes some extra thought, and it takes some extra planning, but that extra thought and planning makes everything easier. So you can not put in the thought and the planning and do your marketing, and not put a lot of thought and planning into it, but you're not going to get any customers, and it's just going to be harder for you to do everything that you're doing. It's going to be harder to grow. Everything is harder. Imagine how much easier it is if this guy has 100,000 TikTok followers because he's the coolest, most interesting. He's the most interesting and financial advisor in the world. That's what I would call him, the most interesting financial advisor in the world.
That's good.
Yeah. And so then they're like, "Oh, and this, and he does that, and this is interesting here." And like, how can he not get clients? How can he not get messages of people saying, "Look, I really need help. I haven't been able to do this in the past."
An endless stream of inbound leads. Yep. Endless. Yep.
Not him knocking on doors, bugging people, asking for referrals. Not that there's anything wrong with referrals and anything like that. Which reminds me, I want to talk about one more thing after you talk about what you're going to talk about.
No. I mean, I think that the hard part for me when I'm talking to people about this is that I don't have any direct examples of my own that I've built to point to, right? It's like I don't have any case studies because that's generally speaking not the direction that most of my clients want to go. And it's been bugging me, and like I want to build it myself, like for my own thing. And us having these conversations, it gets me excited and motivated to do that. So thank you, first of all. And and number two, I love Most Interesting Financial Advisor in the world. That's like, there's, you know, when you hit like a business name that
Yep.
like really has it, that has that for
Yep.
sure. So
Yes, I agree. Because of the dichotomy, right? Financial advisors are boring,
very.
but this is the most interesting. And so now you're instantly curious, what is interesting about this guy?
Yeah.
He's got the drink and the cigar and the handlebar and the guitar and the, like, I would have him name out all of his hobbies. And I bet one after the other, they're just going to be fantastic.
Yep.
And even just polishing his shoes, talking about 401ks, talking about life insurance plans. I just, to me, it just all falls into place.
Yep.
And I need it to happen.
I'm so glad we did this boring business.
Yes, I know, because it's the most interesting business in the world, as a matter of fact.
Yes. Yeah.
So the other thing I was going to mention, that I remember from a book that I read years ago. So there's a book by Dan Kennedy that I don't think I have right now. I got rid of a lot of my books, and then I'm starting to build my library back up again. And how dare I get rid of a Dan Kennedy book? So I don't think I have it. But it's Marketing to the Affluent. And I think it's in this book that he gives this example of a financial advisor that he knows that hosts a big party every year and invites all of his clients, and then asks his clients to invite their friends, because he only serves affluent people. And so who are their friends? Other affluent people. And he does no prospecting other than this one big, huge, fancy, catered black tie event shindig that he does every year just to appreciate his customers. And so I could see something like, if this Most Interesting Financial Advisor in the world did something in Southwest Florida, where people from all over the country are invited to this shindig, to this massive event, where it's going to be, he's going to be sharing financial advice with them, but they're also going to have like an Ask Me Anything, and he's going to interview some of his clients on the stage, and he's going to maybe do some financial audits or something like that. And then they have this big ball afterwards where it's just hors d'oeuvres and champagne and all of that. Like the most interesting financial advisor making the most interesting financial event, you know, that it's got all the elements of who he is as a person, and sell tickets to it, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Right. Like if he can get that level of following where people are super into him. And there are so many of these guys that, like, you watch the internet marketers on YouTube, and they're like, I actually have a jet. I just saw, what's his name? Grant Cardone the other day.
Yeah.
It's like, some of these guys, they go out and do their things in jets. Well, I just so happen to own a jet, so I'm just doing my video here. I'm like, you're fooling nobody.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine. It's probably your jet, but you're just trying to do another one of these jet videos. You're just trying to copycat everybody else and the Lamborghini and all of that. But this guy's selling a lifestyle that's just a little bit more, what's the word? Like, rich.
Yeah.
Not rich as in money, but like I cobble and I drink fine, drinks, and
it's like the things that really,
it's like a
the things that
hipster.
really matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. More substance.
There you go. So he's selling a lifestyle that has substance.
Yep.
I'm thinking of him as like I don't know where I've seen something where there's this guy with a handlebar mustache that does bicycle repairs, and the way he treats the bicycle. I saw it like as an ad or something somewhere, and that really impacted me. I'm like, look at this hipster dude, like taking really careful time with this bicycle to make sure that everything's moving correctly and that it's all fixed up nicely. And that's where that kind of went for me with him, that it's simple. It's the simple, rich life. It's the simple, substantive substantial life that people
Yep.
are going into.
I love that. Yeah, I like that. And I think that it's cool seeing how, there's a lot of, it's episode 2, and like I'm already just having so much fun seeing how like a kernel of something can develop into like a fully formed idea, because that's what this is, right? Like going from financial cowboy, like interesting guy, to like most interesting financial advisor in the world, but also making it more meaningful and more, I don't know, it's like developing a brand, right? It's like more impactful, more substance. It's like that's something that people can really connect with. So it went from like just kind of like, oh, it's kind of an interesting thought, to like, no, this is like a real thing that could be massive. Like this could be a gigantic thing. Very cool.
He needs
I like
to
how
watch
ideas.
this episode.
Yeah.
And know that he has to do it. And that, like, if he needs help, I'll help him. Like, I know you'll help him, I'll help him. Like, if we could bring him on, wouldn't that be cool to bring him on a future episode? And he's like already got 10,000 TikTok followers and like things are moving along. That would be so awesome. So we need to we need to think about that for future episodes. Like, I watched your episode and this is what happened. That would be really cool.
You know what I want? I want this show to get big enough that I don't have to take any new clients, and all I have to do is like go film his videos, right? Like, oh, I'm super excited about this. Like, let's go get this off the ground, and just like, here's your first 10 TikTok videos, go viral, like really like prove the concept. I think that would be fun, And
then you go in as you get percentage of like ad revenue and stuff from all his social media. So he can go, or you get all of the ad revenue and he just gets the clients. And then you split it between the two of you. And so as he goes nuts all over YouTube and TikTok and doing sponsorships and whatever, you're right there raking in all that sweet, sweet cash.
Yep.
I love
Great
it.
idea. He'll go for it.
It's just whether or not you should be doing it right now.
Oh man, I got too many things. Yeah. I got to say no. That was my thing. I'm saying no to things this week. Only yes to things that further my goals that I'm focusing on right now. So
correct. Yeah, and that's why I said, like, all right, the purpose of this podcast is for us to get the bright shiny objects out.
Yep.
And so we can let them alone. But then it's like, well, now that we've built it, shouldn't we just do it?
Right.
So this may become more dangerous than what the intention was. But
but the thing with that is, though, like you I don't know. That's the same way that ideas are really cool, how they grow and change like that. Like something like this podcast could grow into a thing where it's top of funnel for us, and we have this like crack team of operators that people are like flooding in, like, we want you to do this for us. We heard you talk about the yogurt shop and we want you to do this for us. And we get to just handpick. We're like, this is the one that we're doing this year or this month.
Yeah.
And like pluck, and like we just send our team of experts to go in and just like blow this business up. You can not only build a reputation,
we could make that a show.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like this could build into anything. But like, especially around the topic of marketing, it's like helping people make money. There's nothing really more to me valuable than that, right? It's like you're literally creating value for people. So yeah, I love it, and I'm all in. Let's pitch it to Netflix.
All right.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, and like you said, the money thing, helping them do the money. I think for me it is the money, but where I get really, really excited is when they no longer feel that fear, and they no longer feel the overwhelming pending doom of their business. And when you can go in there and you can switch them from having to embarrass themselves or feeling like they're embarrassed, they're going to have to shut the doors and it's embarrassing. I've done it. I've shut down a local business and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it was really, really tough, but being able to help them by empowering them to know what it actually takes to run their business. And not only that, give them a business that's actually fun.
Yeah.
Because a bad, dying business is not fun. But if you can have fun in your business, if you can learn to let loose, I do a lot of coaching with going Facebook Live, and people come on and they're like, okay, so what you need to do is, and they're just reading it and they're trying to be super professional. And that moment that they just shake that off and they're like, all right, you guys, today we're going to be talking about doilies. Everybody loves doilies, right? And the moment they can let that go, that, yes, the money is good, but you can have fun and you can feel proud of yourself and you can feel empowered that you are actually one of the few that is successful in your business, and you don't have to dread going to work every day, and your employees love working there, and your family's happier, and everything is better because you figured this one part out. And that's why I think marketing is so powerful. Yes, it's about the money, but it's about everything. It's about your entire business, and your whole life. When you're a business owner, that business is your life.
I'm kind of angry at you right now because you just took my, like, oh, it's so great to help people make money, and you're just like, yeah, that's cool, but what about all the actual important things, Duncan? Like all this stuff over here. No, I totally agree, and like I think that having that shift, right? So like I know that innately. It's like it's not really the money. It's, to me, the thing that's most impactful is like what the money provides me, or
Sure.
like provides people. That's the thing that I think connects most with me. Like, yes, building a business and having fun and all the great things that you said are great, Ali. But for me, it's like it's the security and the freedom of time that and like having the kind of lifestyle that I would like to have, that the money provides me, that's like what drives me. And that's interesting too, to see like what different people's motivations are,
Yep.
and just learning more about people and like what makes them tick has been really fun for me, owning a business that does things for other businesses.
Yep.
Because business people are just really cool. They're really, really interesting, really
Yep.
like, complicated like psychological people. Like there's something there that like makes a person take the leap to start a business. And
Mhm.
like there's things that kind of like tie all business owners together that like make them tick and kind of drive them and push them forward, and seeing those kinds of things has been fascinating to me. So,
And don't get me wrong, I want the money.
yeah.
Lifestyle
Show
and
me the
freedom is,
money.
yeah, lifestyle and freedom is huge for me too.
Yeah.
But I've definitely have learned that those other things, especially when you're down and out and you're feeling kicked, the money is nice, but that feeling, that relief of the stress, and being able to move forward. And you're right, entrepreneurs are an interesting lot. And that's why all my best friends are entrepreneurs. They're the ones I get along with most. I go to networking events because that to me is social time.
Yep.
That is when I'm like, oh, I get to hang out with my friends now and talk with my friends in a structured way. So I know exactly what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to be, and then I can talk to my friends.
Yeah.
And they can be very lonely. It can be very lonely being an entrepreneur. And I think that, some of the podcast ideas we've talked about, where we talk about like the real struggles that people are having, I think are really important to talk about too, because it is tough. But the marketing, it always comes down to the marketing. Because if you're not selling stuff, you're not in business, you're not feeding your kids, you're not going on vacations, let alone going on vacations, not feeding your kids.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I'm so glad that we are doing this, and get to hang out and talk about it all day.
Yeah. Same here. I'm having a ball.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Duncan. Thank you for bringing your very boring life insurance / financial planning business. I'm very excited about where it went. And if you have a financial planning business, I would love to hear from you. Like, what can you do personally to bring out more of your personality to your followers? You don't have to do a whole TikTok channel, but even what you're doing on social media and how you're presenting yourself, how can you bring the more interesting parts of you, the more interesting parts of your story to the front? And don't tell me you're not interesting. Everybody has something. If you are an entrepreneur, once again, if you're an agent, there's something in you that drives you to do those things. What is it that's driving you to do that? And how can you bring that to the forefront that people see? And if anybody else has ideas, one, for our most interesting financial planner in the world, other ways that we can take that persona above and beyond and just like kick butt. If you have examples of other YouTubers or TikTokers that you've seen, I'd love to see that in the comments. And then, like we did on the last episode, even if you have a cafe or a catering business or an AC HVAC type business, what can you learn from a financial advisor, boring business model, turn to most interesting financial advisor in the world? How can you apply that to your business? Any last words, Duncan?
Sounds like you're gonna. Any last words? No, that was great as always. Episode 2 in the books. Love it.
Awesome. Well, then we will see you guys. Who knows what fun and interesting business we will be bringing to episode 3. So I'll see you there.
Peace.